A wrong diagnosis can be a death sentence. You went to a doctor or a therapist for relief and instead left with a bigger problem than the one you walked in with. A diagnosis, a prescription, a label that didn't quite fit. Hey, it's Dr. Nicole
And Professor Mike.
with Divine Guidance Institute. And that's what we're going to talk about today. We're going to break it down. This misdiagnosis atrocity that's facing us.
We spend much of our time when working with clients. They already believe negative images and roles about themselves that they've received through diagnosis. They went to a doctor once who did not even know them, and they got a diagnosis. And now they've become that thing, that diagnosis. And it's very, very negative and has a strong impact in their life.
Well, here's the deal. In working in my professional career, every first session with a client, they come in, they've got their meds, they got their scripts, and they're telling me, their history. I spend 90% of a first session undiagnosing people. So in doing so, I've noticed this is a real, what did you say? Pandemic. This is a pandemic. So then I started researching. I'm looking at the stats. The misdiagnosis stats are incredible, which is part of why we started Divine Guidance Institute. So you wouldn't get blindsided and burned by outside authority, right? Yes.
And that's what as a sociologist, that's what I studied. We all trust the white coats. We see the white coat, it's a symbol. It's like, oh my God, they got my health. They control everything. They're going to heal me. Or it's like, whoa, it's an authority thing. It's control. And that is what leads to misdiagnosis. And there's a bunch of stats that you are not really going to believe when you hear them.
No.
Nick, you got those stats?
Oh my gosh. Okay, here we go. 800,000 people were misdiagnosed last year, leading to death or serious disability. 400,000 women were misdiagnosed with breast cancer, resulting in unnecessary invasive intervention. As far as mental health stats, major depressive disorder, 65% are misdiagnosed with major depressive disorder. Bipolar, up to 90% are misdiagnosed with bipolar disorder. Panic disorder, 85% misdiagnosed. Generalized anxiety disorder, 70% are misdiagnosed. Social anxiety disorder, 90% misdiagnosed. Depression, 60% misdiagnosed. These are the stats from last year in the USA alone. This is an atrocity. It really is. Everyone's walking around with pills they don't need, scripts they don't need, with a label that isn't accurate, and then they assign that to themselves.
It's a labeling theory, really. In sociology, they call it labeling theory. Once we get labeled as anxiety, we have anxiety disorder. We have sleeplessness. Well, if we believe that, we're not going to be able to sleep. And, how do we get beyond that? And it came through a misdiagnosis or that label that comes down that we buy and we become that because we have been labeled with that. And it's very, very detrimental. It reminds me of Deepak Chopra. When he became a physician, he was standing there watching the doctors in a hospital making the rounds. He was with them. They would deliver a diagnosis, be it correct or incorrect, right or wrong. The person, he said, he watched the person who was healthy and happy, kind of like laughing and joking, standing there. They'd get the diagnosis. He'd watch the life literally be drained out of them as they bought into that label, that diagnosis. So that's how impactful and negative that diagnosis can be.
It actually has a term, It's referred to iatrogenic, and it literally means an illness or injury inadvertently caused by the medical process itself, frequently through incorrect diagnosis and unnecessary treatment. So it's such an atrocity, it has a label. This whole process, this whole subject has a label. So, that's partly why we started Divine Guidance Institute, why we've written Trust Yourself, and there's a whole series on Trust Yourself, because when you give your power away and when you don't verify things through data, your own gut feeling, your own signs, your own dreams to verify and confirm the methodology, then that's how you get burned and blindsided. You accept someone else's advice, someone else's label, and then you assign it to yourself and go on through life with this.
It's part of, it's really part of our problem. And we need to learn how to sidestep that and deal with it and trust ourselves, like you just mentioned, because we're the ones who buy into, maybe the white coat just told us A, B, and C, and it was inaccurate. It was a wrong diagnosis. They've only known us for one office visit, and suddenly we're assigned really a death sentence in a way. But it's our inability to trust ourselves and go, does that feel right? Is that correct? Or is it incorrect? And we look outward for the answer as opposed to inward. And that's what we do. We teach people how to look inward.
Yes, for sure. But it's interesting because you said one session, this occurs. Well, how come in my one session, it doesn't occur? What's the difference? And so I had to look at that. I'm like, well, how come this is happening with one session with all these professionals and my first session is revealing so much truth? I thought, what is the difference here? And really, it was heightened awareness, and it was genuine care and concern of getting to the bottom of something, really asking the right questions and taking them through the process that made the difference.
And getting them to trust themselves. There's a really good, I just wanted to read this one paragraph from our book. Look at that. Sociology of Soul. What a badass cover on the book.
It is.
But it kind of summarizes what we're talking about. So I'll read it from the back of the book. And we've been taught to follow others and distrust ourselves. The socialization process, in other words, of living, numbs the spirit through habit, tradition, and routine. This book teaches you how to break free and challenge the cage of conformity. In other words, look inward to ourselves. We've already got those answers, and that's what we teach in Divine Guidance, how to activate that internal system once again. Soon as we, activate it, we have the answers, and we don't need to look to others to all outwardly for those answers because they don't have them. And they're the ones who label us, and we in turn buy into it. Consequently, like Nick said, suddenly we're ill and we have all these medications and we're in the hospital. And why was that? Because we bought into that paradigm that wasn't correct to start.
Yeah, it was like, and so through this process of undiagnosing clients endlessly, I mean, it was every session. It was outstanding what I was witnessing. But through this process, an awakening occurs, and they go, oh, "You mean I don't have that thing, that label? You mean I'm not ill in that way? I don't have this problem?" It's like, well, actually no. And then this awakening occurs, and there's a freedom. It's like you took the cuffs off somebody. There's a whole disposition, a change in consciousness that occurs. It's really outstanding. But, the other thing I wanted to mention, there's certain guidelines for diagnosing, right? A diagnosis, we're talking about mental health more than physical health here with this specific guideline. A person cannot be accurately diagnosed unless they've had 6 months off of all medication, psychotropics, illicit drugs, legal drugs, prescriptions, even beer, alcohol. 6 months chemical-free. That is the only way an accurate diagnosis can be given. So what does that say? That tells you that everyone is being misdiagnosed. Because who has spent 6 months without any scripts, psychotropic scripts, marijuana, beer, wine? Almost no one. That's why, so really it's a double Scooby-Doo, the problem. But no one follows the guideline. As a matter of fact, I even asked colleagues. They don't even know about the guideline. They don't even know about the 6-month guideline. So, I mean, this whole thing is just such a mess from jump. I don't even know what to tell you. But again, it goes back to trusting yourself, and here's a great story right here. We had a couple. They came to us. And they're telling us this story, right? And they both started experiencing arthritis symptoms, okay? So they go to the doctor, and he gives them meds for arthritis, right? They go home first week and they're on their meds. But they each have a dream. He has a dream about potato chips. She has a dream about bananas. The dream was letting them both know the arthritis symptoms are stemming from your potato chips. And for her, it was the bananas. So all they had to do, and this is what they did. He stopped eating potato chips. Wow. She stopped eating bananas. And the symptoms went away. They did not have an accurate diagnosis. They did not need the script. It was their food. It was their diet. And it came through a dream data. So you see the whole package? The whole thing works together. The Institute, the tools, dream science, intuition, verifying your data, confirming your data. We're certainly, I'm a doctor myself. We're certainly not against therapy and prescriptions and this and that and the other, but the whole thing is about the misdiagnosing that's going on and getting things verified through your internal guidance system. That's the whole message here, and why we implore you to start using your tools, man.
Trust yourself, and like Nick says, it's not about not going to the doctor or checking out with, going to the hospital and getting that's fine, but you already have the answer to what your problem is within you automatically. That's who we are. That's what we've got. And it's our internal guidance system. We all have it. And it's as soon as the question's posed, the answer's there. And those outer people who do not even know us, and we've never been to see them before, maybe once or twice, they cannot give us the correct diagnosis necessarily. And if they do, we need to confirm it by listening to that voice. Is it correct? Through dream, signs, intuition, we automatically have the answer. That way we confirm it and can move forward. We can use the outer and the inner to get a really, really good snapshot.
Yes. And it just reminded me of what else was going on in these sessions where I'm undiagnosing people is their scripts. They're on a panacea of scripts, maybe 10 meds, 5 meds, 12 meds, and they all indicate each other, meaning this one should not be used with this one. And if so, it causes a whole nother set of problems. Contraindication. So all these doctors were prescribing meds and they weren't consulting the data to know if this is going to contraindicate with this medication. And so not only with the misdiagnosis, the mislabeling, then we've got the meds that are working against each other, causing a whole new set of symptoms. So, we're talking a triple Scooby-Doo. And it's only through actually caring, having your own intuition open so you're listening as you're talking and working with the client, and then doing your own homework in real time with the client. If there was a med, I'd pull up that med right in that session and I'd say, and this was, it was just this process. And it was only through taking time and care and concern, giving a shit about a real solution for someone, as opposed to, here's a script, see you in a month type of thing.
And they don't know.
No.
I've actually, when I was at the University of Missouri in medical sociology for a while, I interviewed a lot of the top heart surgeons. And late in the evening, 8 or 9 o'clock, the surgeon would be having a supper, having a drink, and he relaxed for a change. And most all of them told me, we don't have any idea in some cases, but the people come to us looking for an answer. So I give them an answer because they're scared and they need me for the answer. And he was so accurate. It's like, okay, then they get to play God and say, oh, here's your answer. Even he said, we don't know either. We have no idea. But, they feel better because I gave them an answer and I write a script and they go forth. And there was the truth. The guy was leveling with me. And most of the surgeons and doctors that I interviewed said that. So, you are the source. Trust yourself. Balance it out and get that answer inwardly to confirm it before you go forth.
Confirmation.
Yep.
Confirm. Track your data. I can't say it enough. Oh my gosh. It's such a big problem, which is why we started the Institute, this nonprofit institute, because I couldn't handle it anymore. Everyone's getting burned and blindsided in this process, and it doesn't have to be this way. There's a solution. Your internal guidance system, which is running 24/7. And, the way we've set up Divine Guidance Institute, it's, designed to step into this experiential process, to reactivate, to reignite and restore your internal signal. So it's loud, beaming loud. So you get this guidance. Yeah.
Once you've got the guidance, basically you've got the truth, which is really you. If you look in the mirror, you've already got everything. So use it as a confirmation system to balance things with that outer system of control. And don't give away your power. It's all about you and finding the truth within yourself.
Nice. So, hey, we're going to sign off. Hue. What can we say? Hue every day to turn up the volume. Get it rolling. HU
resets the signal within ourselves to once again turn on that internal guidance system, which is naturally us. It reboots our original operating system. It's really that simple.
Yeah.
Then we know the answer. We don't need anyone else. So use that truth to confirm what's going on in your life.
Don't forget, subscribe, share, get the word out there. Yeah, subscribe and share. We want your comments. Reach out. Check out divineguidanceinstitute.org. Check out onemagicword.com for a 40-day experiential live guided process with us directly to reset and restore the internal signal, onemagicword.com. And sign up for our newsletter at our website and divineguidanceinstitute.org. Feel free to donate if you're so inclined. And we'll talk soon.
Hey, have a good one.
All right. Bye.